Good evening. We will call the meeting to attention. Today is Tuesday, February 17th, 2026, and this is our regular board meeting for the school district of Springfield Township. Just want to welcome everyone. The weather's breaking, which is exciting. I feel like spring is right around the corner, which is an exciting time for our students as well. We have an action-packed agenda today, so we'll get right into it. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The mission of the school district of Springfield Township is to educate and develop all students as learners and citizens who are high achieving, resilient, and responsible in a changing global community. Let's open it up for a roll call. Ms. Green.
Dr. Aberly, Mrs. Bell, Mr. Brett, Katie Davenport, Mr. DeFranco, Mr. Jordan, Mrs. McGranahan, Mr. Needleman,
Here.
Mr. Bedard.
Here. Just one announcement this evening. The board, at its discretion, may videotape all or any portion of public board meetings subject to the limitations set forth in Policy 006 meetings. Board meetings will be broadcast on Friday afternoons following each board meeting. I'm going to open it up to Dr. Yannicone for our superintendent report this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Bedard, and welcome everyone. It's nice to have some students and families with us this evening. I want to begin just by recognizing that today begins the Lunar New Year, the year of the horse, and we want to offer blessings to all of those who celebrate this spring event. Tonight, we also begin the recognition of Ramadan, the observance of Ramadan, which is the holiest month in the Islamic calendar, and we want to wish a blessed month of reflection and community to all those who observe Ramadan. And tomorrow begins Lent for those who observe the Christian calendar, the holiest time of the year for the Christian calendar. And we want to also recognize that time of year and wish those who celebrate and observe a very blessed time of year as well. This is also the midst of Black History Month, and that is an annual recognition. I was really excited to and enjoyed the Voices of Excellence brunch last weekend at the high school, and I'm looking forward to the Black History Bee, which will be put on next week by our Multicultural Parents Association and some of our elementary teachers and students. We have a lot of other events occurring in our schools this month, including assemblies and classroom studies of artists, musicians, scientists, and leaders in the Black community, and we're excited for our students to get an opportunity to learn about all of these different wonderful members of our American community. I'd also like to share some updates on athletics at the high school. Our unified bocce team earned the silver medal at the league championships, and they are on their way to regionals. Our wrestling team earned the league sportsmanship award, and we have several wrestlers on their way to districts. The indoor track and field team was at districts this past weekend, and we have set, I think it's now 15 or 16 school records just this year in track and field. Terrific for them. I also want to congratulate our girls and boys swimming and diving teams. They both won Suburban 1 championships, the district, and they're on their way to districts. So they also had a very successful weekend. And then for basketball, our boys basketball team earned a bid in the district championships. They did lose a tough opening round over the weekend, but we're very proud of them. They had a great season. And our girls basketball team had tip-off about 7 minutes ago, right below us in the blue gym. And so they're in the first round of the district playoffs. So terrific season for our basketball teams. This Friday, we have close to 200 high school students and staff participating in the Special Olympics polar plunge. It looks like the weather will be okay for them, better than it's been in some previous years. They are hoping to raise $18,000 for the Special Olympics. Last year, they raised $17,500, so they're hoping to pass that. They were able to collect $3,000 from fundraising efforts throughout the year, and they are just $4,009 away from their goal. So there's still time to make a donation. I promise to share the link, which I will share here. It's give.specialolympicspa.org/team/779294. We'll have that on our website as well, and we'll send that out in our Friday announcements in our newsletters because you can continue to make donations even after the polar plunge. So we're very excited. We've been doing the plunge now for, I think, 6 years, and it's been going very well. Under agenda items, we have a number of reports coming from members of the board, so I'm not going to belabor the motions because I want to get to our spotlight tonight. But I do want to thank publicly Dr. Johnston, who will be presenting the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan is a 4-year academic plan. It also includes a variety of special areas within our curriculum and instruction program. And that plan is the culmination of work with parents, students, community members, as well as our faculty and staff in building this multi-year plan. And you'll get more information about that shortly. I also want to share that we have several overnight trips on the agenda for some of our extracurricular activities. You'll learn a little bit more about that this evening. We have the budget approval for the intermediate unit, our annual budget. So this is the 26-27 budget. And then we have the bond parameters resolution, which is a regular review, which we are conducting through the Finance Committee. And so I know we'll have a report on that that explains how we can best manage our finances. We have a single reading tonight, some minor revisions to Policy 122, extracurricular activities. And I want to thank the Policy Committee for working through that policy most recently. And then we have 2 items under Property Committee. We have a truck purchase. We had one of our multi-use trucks we lost during the snowstorm. Not because of the snowstorm, but it might have just put it over the top. And so we have a truck purchase retroactively that we've worked to get approved through Property Committee. And then we have a capital improvements contract. As you know, we have a 5-year capital improvements plan. Ms. Green went out to bid to make sure that we had the most competitive pricing available. And so we have a new recommendation for you on management of capital improvements. And while I'm at it, I'd also like to wish Ms. Green a happy birthday. Tonight is her birthday. It's a great place to be on your birthday. On a board meeting.
Celebration.
All right. And so at this time, I'd like to turn things over to Dr. Mangano, who's going to introduce our Spartan Spotlight for this month. Dr. Mangano.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Thank you for having us tonight. It's really nice to be here and see everyone. I think a year ago when we came to do our spotlight, we talked about our student council and we did a big overview on how things were going and all the many happenings at the school. And this week we are here to bring to you, and I'm going to introduce Bridget, who's going to take it from there. But we have a pretty incredible peer mediation program in our building, and I'm going to let them do all of the honors of what it means. But I also want to highlight our Mrs. Doherty is here tonight. I want to make sure I highlight her, as she really took a lot of initiative and has done the training for the program and our students over a number of years, long before me. So our school counselors are heavily involved. It's also a great time, as we wanted to highlight 2 weeks now, all of our school counselors for School Counselors Month. So we want to make sure we do that. But at this time, I want to turn it over to the kids, because I do feel at our building one of the best things we can do is promote our students as leaders. So I'm going to let them steal the show, and they're going to talk all about our peer mediation program. Thank you. Bridget.
Good evening, members of the school board, administrators, and guests. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak tonight. We are here to share about our middle school peer mediation program, which helps students solve problems, build leadership skills, and create a kinder, more supportive school community. Nailed it!
Our district has supported peer leadership for over 15 years, training more than 300 middle school students into peer leaders and help solving peer-to-peer conflicts. This allows our school to be a safer and more respectful community.
In late spring or early fall, all SMS students have the opportunity to apply to become a peer mediator. After the selection process, we travel off campus for a full day of team building and training and conflict mediation program called Community Boards.
Peer mediation, whoa, this mic is hot. Peer mediation is a process where trained students like us, as was mentioned before, we go and we have, like, it's kind of hard to explain, but these people will do it. We have classmates who might have like disagreements with other people or teachers or anything. We will have them in our room with a counselor, and we try to solve a disagreement. In this, we sorry. In this, we learn skills like empathy, listening, and communicating clearly, which are all skills that are very useful later in life.
Peer mediators also serve as mentors and leaders in our school community. We welcome new students by doing school tours, support young learners by doing lessons in kindergarten and first grade. We also make sure every student feels connected and included. We are currently preparing lessons about making and keeping friendships, time management, and organization. Those will be shared during our 6th grade advisory period.
One of our biggest projects this year has been planning a student-led conference for middle school students from surrounding schools. We have invited guest speakers to come talk at this conference about peer pressure, body image and self-esteem, social media use, and drugs and alcohol awareness. We are excited to share that we have secured a spot at the Corbett and will host this conference in September 2026.
To help others better understand our work, we created a short video that explains who we are, what we do, and how students can be referred to peer mediation. At this time, we invite you to sit back and enjoy this 5-minute video presentation created by our peer mediators. So before I close out, I would just like to turn the mic over to Ari to say a couple of words before I end it.
Hello. So, I was a peer mediator 7-ish years ago. And I can truly say that it planted the seeds that have allowed me to grow into, I like to think of myself as somewhat of a leader in the community. And what it really did for me is it taught me about the shades of gray that exist in all communications that we have. That there is no one side to a story. There will always be miscommunications. There will always be somewhere where things can go wrong, and that through the peer mediation, through the open, clear, consistent communication that we learned with Miss Doherty, we learn to handle that, and we learn how to deal with that in a more mature way that allows us to resolve conflicts and grow and strengthen our friendships in a way that can carry us into the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Our apologies for the video. We'll make sure that we get that out to everybody. But also just to add, I think that some of the things the kids are speaking about tonight, as you prepare for academics, you really have to be able to navigate all of that with your social emotional lens. And I think us preparing kids to navigate those waters is really what it's all about.
Thank you all for taking the time to learn about our program. We are proud of the impact peer mediation has made and are grateful for the continued support of student leadership in our district. Together, we are building a school community where students feel heard, supported, and empowered to make positive choices in our community. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here tonight. It was really exciting to hear more about the peer program, peer mentoring and peer counseling program from Dr. Mangano. And I know Ms. Doherty's contributions to the middle school are vast, but this is just one area where I really feel our counselors are doing a fantastic job of leading the way. And for student leadership, I agree with everything that you said over the last few minutes about how important it is that your voices are heard and that you lead the way in making our middle school a welcoming place for everyone. So we're so grateful to all of you for stepping forward as leaders, for volunteering to do this work, and for helping your peers to feel comfortable at the middle school. It's not an easy time. I don't think there's a person in the room that would choose to go back to middle school, you guys. And so we're very, very happy that you're here and very happy that you're leading the way. Thank you. So I'm going to say to Dr. Mangano and Mrs. Doherty and all of our students and your families, you are welcome to stay, but you are welcome to go. All right, because the next presentation will be Dr. Johnston's on the comprehensive plan. If you're interested, feel free to hang in there. Otherwise, it's not rude at all for you to step out. Have a great, great night. Thanks, everybody. And I am going to share my screen so that Dr. Johnston can do the comprehensive plan. Okay, that's our next presentation. Let's see. Dr. Johnston, I think that your clicker should work just fine from here.
Bring it to the test.
Indeed.
Constantly got it together. Hi, everyone. I'm so glad to be here. Can you hear me? Okay. I'm so glad to be here to talk with you this evening about our comprehensive plan. One of the things that is a key operation. I don't think so. No. I don't know. Is it on? On. Yeah, it's on. Oh, green light. Now let's try it again. Obviously, the key of technology is to use it correctly. Okay, note to self. Okay, I'm back on it. Our comprehensive plan is intended to span a 3-year period. It begins July 1st of 2026 and concludes on June 30th of 2029. Why is that important? Because some of you who've been around for a minute remember that I was here just 2 years ago in a 2-year plan because the Department of Education shifted our time period due to a variety of new legislation. So we wrote a plan for 2024 through 2026. and done back again to do 2026 through 2029. So in case you were wondering where that came from, that's why I'm here tonight. The comprehensive plan gives us an opportunity to put ourselves in alignment with an expectation from the Department of Education. All school districts in Pennsylvania, and there are 501 of them, submit a comprehensive plan in different phases. So every year, some group of school districts across the Commonwealth are submitting their comprehensive plan. The intent of the plan is to provide the Department of Education some assurance of what is happening in school districts and ensuring that there's some oversight in the operations of the day-to-day teaching and learning practices in each school district. One of the things for us that we thought is really important to make sure that all of you and our public is aware of is we have lots of components of this that are already embedded in our natural practice. It's really important to us as a school district to continuously reflect and use opportunities to improve given any opportunity. So as you recall, in 2024 to 2027, we wrote our strategic plan, which I think you know will conclude in a year. Right after that, we wrote our district equity action plan for a 3-year period. And then following this, the comprehensive plan. So those 3 things work in cycles with each other. But the real challenge is to not let them each be individual actions, but instead braid them together in ways that make sense, but gives us a little different insight into how our entire district operations come together. The focus of the comprehensive plan, particularly this component, is solely focused on teaching and learning. So unlike some of the other plans that look at all of our district operations, this one only looks at what are teachers doing, what are school buildings doing, and what's the curriculum and learning practices embedded in the school district. So that's the unique feature of this particular plan. So as I said to you, our goal was to ensure that we integrated a variety of things, including an opportunity to look inside, get a sense of our data and performance, and figure out with our community what are our priorities and what are the ways in which we can continue to focus on continuous improvement. Under this plan, there's like some requirements from the Department of Education and some we self-imposed, right? So we're required to look at the Future Ready Index, which is the Pennsylvania report card on how all school districts are doing. We looked at our Linkit benchmark assessments in both English language arts and mathematics. We looked at that disaggregated data for growth, mobility, and achievement. We wanted to take a look at some of the district publications that we have. So this year, for the first time, we published the teaching and learning framework to our faculty, and we have our profile of a graduate. So we do an evaluation each year on how our students are doing in their self-assessment of that profile of a graduate. We use those data as well. We integrated our belonging survey data for the last 3 years to take a look at how that overlaid with what we were learning about how students were achieving academically. And then certainly we included the information from our equity audit and our strategic plan. That was what I'm going to call the pile of hard data. Those are the things we could look at and touch that were already in existence. But what I wanted to also do is take some of the key ideas that came from there and then talk with some stakeholders. So we did a variety of opportunities for input. We did focus groups with student and family advisories. We met with students from Erdenheim, the middle school and the high school in their advisory. We met with parent advisory, and certainly we met with members of the Board of School Directors from Academic Affairs for a focus group. The instructional leadership team provided a focus group and were asked the similar kinds of questions. And then we sent out a survey to our staff and to our families to ensure that we had wide input where feasible or possible. We had nearly 22% of our families participate. So from a survey standpoint, given some other things that we have sent home, we actually felt like that was a nice rate of return, that 1 in 5 participated in the process. Certainly in this day and age, it would be naive to think that I was going to sit there with my highlighter and sticky notes as I did my dissertation and sort out the major ideas that came out. Instead, I used my new best friend AI to help me sort through it and then got to compare and contrast, right? What did we see versus what was the data and the AI seeing? And that sort of to help us organize our process. So what did we find out? So we found some really wonderful things, and it highlighted things that we sort of knew but hadn't articulated in quite this way. One of the biggest pieces of feedback is the variation in expectations and feedback that exists across our school. So just because one 3rd grade teacher sends home a parent letter every week doesn't mean all 3rd grade teachers send home a parent letter every week. Not all 4th grade teachers give homework, but not all 5th grade teachers give homework, but not necessarily, parents don't know going in which camp they've landed in. Some teachers allow late work at the middle school, some teachers do not. Like there's a range and variation of practices that causes a warm up every year that students and families talked about that provides lack of consistency for families starting a new school year. So that there's an lack of predictability about what to expect coming into a school year. And there's this norming period why they figure out, okay, is this year a heavy communication year? Is this a less communication, more homework, less homework? What's the grading policy? And that variation is sometimes a strength because you get different experiences, but it's also can be problematic to family routines and knowledge about what's happening for their children in schools. Those resets are most evident at points of transition. So once you finally get used to sort of what's happening at Enfield and you finish your second grade year and you've gotten used to the range of variety, you make the jump to Erdenheim, and then you have to relearn not only a whole new school context, but also a grade level and a teacher level pieces of information. And families felt like that was something that we could tighten up that would improve their experience. We'll talk a little bit more about that again in a second. There's strong growth in your proficiency, but uneven access. So sometimes students are making growth, but they are not always achieving those grade level skills and standards that we might expect. We get close and they're growing, but they aren't necessarily achieving at the same levels across the board. And then that coherence, making sure that these things and families are understanding and students are understanding and faculty are understanding what comes before them and what comes after. That sometimes, given the nature that we're so small, we think everybody knows what each other is doing. But the reality is in this day and age, that's actually not the case. And there's some questions about whether or not we can be creating tangible products that would allow teachers to have clearer sense of what students have done before them and what they'll do next. So those pieces of input helped us to continue to sort of focus those areas of strength, right? So we have some areas that are really cause for celebration. We have strong academic growth in ELA and mathematics. Those are impressive. And when you compare us to our neighbors and definitely across the state, we continue to have high performance. We can always, however, I feel like we can always do better. And so we talked about that. Students feel safe. They feel like they belong. Their families feel that way, and they feel like they are engaged in their school, whether that's in extracurricular activities or their academic program. They feel connected and supported in their school process. Families, staff, students all talked about that we have effective intervention and support systems. Everyone who needs something knows how to ask for it or knows someone who knows how to ask for it. And they're able to navigate those resources and get help when needed. And that there is a wide array of resources that we provide to our families, students, and staff to support them in their process at school. And ultimately that positive school climate, that sense of belonging gives us a real opportunity to lean into that connection to move students forward. That allows us the opportunity to encourage academic risk because students feel safe. They can be themselves. They can show up every day and be present. And that if we lean into that strength, it's a way to continue to propel us forward. As we talked about, there are some areas where we can continue to grow, right? Those instructional expectations, as I talked about, making sure that there is a clear sense of what is mastery, what does that look like at different grade levels or in different subjects? What across schools? How do we know what's happening across and between our schools? Particularly at those transition points. How can we clarify that and strengthen it? How do second grade teachers actually know what's happening in third grade, fifth to sixth, and the other way, and looking back? We have been working on disaggregating the data for the last 4 years. And one of the things that continues to show up for us is that students are growing academically. All our subgroups of students have growth. The question is whether they're hitting mastery and how can we continue to look at that disaggregated data to help us to improve instructional practice within our classrooms. That is particularly true for students with disabilities and students who experience economic disadvantage. If those two components are in place, and sometimes those groups overlap, it is where we feel like we can put some supports in place to further propel us forward. When I start to talk to you about the actions that we're talking about, they're not a focus on a specific grade or a specific discipline. We chose the early indicators where we know that reaching particular milestones helps ensure and predicts success later on in their academic journey. So those two and that's a system issue. That's a curricular issue. That's not a teacher or grade level or program issue. It's something that we can remedy by looking at our core curriculum that we offer. So what are those two indicators? Third grade ELA or reading and seventh grade mathematics. Third grade ELA is so important because up until the third grade marker, you are learning to read. From that point forward, you are reading to learn. So if you are continuing to struggle coming out of third grade and haven't met the proficiency of those standards and mastery in those reading skills, you are likely to have a more difficult time as you move into more abstract thinking where comprehension and understanding from reading is more important. Mathematics is the same. If you get to the 7th grade metrics and you aren't proficient in those abstract reasoning skills or those pre-algebra skills, you are likely to have a more difficult time with advanced mathematics as you go past the 7th grade. So it's not about 3rd grade or 7th grade, but it's about K1, 2, and 3, and how are they connected together in language arts, and 4 through 7 in mathematics. So we're well positioned in our and looking at this plan to really take some actions to help us tighten these things up. These are all attainable components, but continuing to focus on the same things we've been talking about: issues of student achievement and issues for professional learning. How can we make sure our staff have the tools they need in order to remedy some of these issues and to tighten them up? And how can we also make sure the students are achieving in the way that we would anticipate to see that growth? We have really embedded learning structures for our professional staff, so we're going to lean right into those. And our equity work is important. This is what we've been focusing on. This takes our equity vision and ideas and turns it into practices. These are where the actions can sit. And ultimately, we want to be able to move from strong growth to consistent mastery. We would like both. We want students to grow and we want them to meet mastery. So how are we going to do that? The faculty asked me to be really clear about what we were going to do. So here's where we are. We have 2 major priorities. One is to strengthen our standards aligned instructional progressions in literacy and mathematics. And the second is to ensure that we're clear in instructional expectations, learning experiences, and communication across our schools and grades, but particularly at years of transition. To do that, some of the key action steps in order to strengthen those standards aligned process, really developing instructional progressions. For as small as we are, you'd think we have all these things on the ready, but we actually don't have any articulated documents that speak to that specifically. We have lots of curricular documents, but not one that allows people outside that grade level to see what came before or came after. So this is something we can put into place. How can we make sure we have vertical alignment of those skills so that we can take a look at how things are mapping on and what happens if we're skipping one step here or there, and how does that play out over time? We further want to define grade level mastery. What does it mean, and what are the key standards that we're focusing on mastery? And let's make sure we understand that amongst ourselves so that we're all evaluating on the same kinds of principles and using student work to help inform those decisions. And then ultimately taking a look at that student work and defining instructional expectations. If we said this is mastery, what does it look like? What does it look like over time? What does it look across teachers? Not about particular students or particular work, but so that we can continue to norm our process of looking at student work as a way to promote those profile of graduate skills. How can we enrich it? How can we use it to grow? And our second priority and final priority in this case is to strengthen our consistency and clarity. How can we set some expectations that are clear to families, students, and staff about how communication or homework is expected? So if we're expecting homework 3 times a week for half an hour, that's what the expectation is. But so that there's some routine and communication so we can lessen the load, thinking about and wondering as the year is getting started what to expect in terms of building family routines and time for that. And then how can we monitor and adjust instruction, looking at how we're doing at those major transition points? We do see dips in transition. Students are performing in one way at 2nd grade, but we're not necessarily realizing that in 3rd grade. Same from 5th to 6th. We're not maintaining and growing it from there. We see dips in that performance. So we want to dig into that a little bit and see if we can back map and figure out where that is coming from. What can we put in place? So creating those study groups with our faculty and staff in order to tighten that up. Ultimately, Anyway, in closing, that's the end of it. And one of the things that I'm happy about is that I felt like this aligned but further articulated things we've talked about. Staying focused on student achievement, staying focused on staff development, and making sure they have the tools in front of them to best meet the students who are coming to their schools and their classrooms today and tomorrow. How do we continue to build that out? How do we make it job embedded and practical for them, while at the same time improving the family and the child experience and their trust as they send their children into our schools? People are happy. People are feeling good about what was happening. It was a really positive process. I had the chance with academic affairs to share other parts of the required plan, which is our induction plan, professional learning, and our gifted supports. So all of those plans were also shared and are also on the agenda to be posted. Thank you. Yeah, I said that. Ultimately, it is our hope that this continues putting all of these steps in place, having it be publicly available so folks know what we're working on, and then articulating, sharing, and reporting out on this regularly to all of you and our community will continue to help us build that transparency that we're working towards a common goal. for all of our learners. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Jones.
Absolutely. Want me to take questions?
If there are questions, we'd be happy to have you take them. I also wanted to, first of all, again, publicly say thank you to Dr. Johnston. This has been a massive undertaking for several months of the school year, and a significant responsibility because it charts our course for the next few years, both in professional development and in educational focus. So we're happy for questions and feedback. I know Dr. Johnston presented this to the Academic Affairs Committee recently, and then tonight you will see on the board agenda, there is an approval of the start of the 28-day review period. So by requirement of the state, we need to present it publicly and then have it open for community feedback. And then next month, we will bring it back to you for formal approval, after which we would implement the plan.
We will submit it to the state for July,
For their
for
feedback.
their approval
Yes.
and a July 1st start.
Thank you. Questions?
I do. I'll start the questions from the board. I think there'll be many on this topic.
I'm ready.
Great presentation. A couple of observations to start with. One, it's a required nomenclature to call it a comprehensive plan, right? Because this is a state plan. It actually feels much less comprehensive than our annual goal setting and objective setting, our strategic plan that you and the administrative team tirelessly work on. And I saw lots of the themes from those other programs coming into this plan.
Mhm.
So I'm reading that correct, right? The scope here is actually limited to professional development and the educational performance.
Correct.
Okay. I guess my only question then is, outside of our annual objective setting and reporting on progress, how do we both report to the state and report back to the public on progress against the 3-year plan?
That's an extraordinarily excellent question. There is not currently a mechanism from the Department of Education for us to submit a report on our progress to them on this plan. It is in our best interest to share it with our community, which is why we wanted to tie it to the other reporting structures that we had. So our recommendation is to add it with some regularity to the superintendent's newsletter. Here's how we're moving towards these goals. But we think the more public we can be in sharing, these are the things we're working on. It's not that we're not working on other things too, but specifically, how can we share it in natural formats that are accessible to people and allows them to check it when they're interested.
That sounds really good. The only other suggestion I would have is, even though it's off cycle, is tying it to when we're reviewing updated strategic plan and our annual objectives and performance against those objectives.
100%.
And just make this a part of that overall more comprehensive plan.
Comprehensive plan.
Okay.
But yes, it is a state name for it.
Awesome.
Agreed.
Thank you very much. Other questions from the board?
Thank you so much. It was very, very interesting and exciting to hear about the careful look at the program. I'm wondering if you'll tell us a little bit about when we think about making sure things like communication are consistent across and between grade levels. It's clearly important for it to be consistent, but how do we decide what is the correct consistent position? Is that, do we think about that more as a top-down decision, something that comes from teachers, or some combination?
It's a great question. The recommendation I have to the building principals is of us to start with, do we even know the regularity in which it's occurring right now? So what's our baseline? When we take a look across, what is the range and variation? Because we've been told about it, but I don't know that I could tell you that 40% of teachers send home communication weekly versus 30 who only, I don't have any data about that. It's sort of an invisible practice that happens between the teacher and the family.
And
So
maybe a family perception that there's variation more than documented.
that may be the case, but I don't know that. So that's part of what I want to understand. My first year, that like the goal this summer and into the fall is to figure out what is happening. What is the homework frequency at which we're assigning math homework or language arts homework, social studies or science? Like in what ways in K2, in the bands of our schools, are we with some regularity assigning homework? It's less of a concern at the high school level where students are expected to be more independent in navigating that. But I think at the elementary and middle levels, there's a lot more questions around the level of consistency or not, teacher to teacher. You're welcome.
Once again, thank you so much. And it was really good to be part of the process of reviewing the comprehensive plan. Just to go back to one of the points that you raised, and I think it's completely in line with the Future Ready PA index data is around the students with disabilities and the students experiencing economic disadvantage. Is there going to be like a separate consideration for how we bridge those gaps that you obviously mentioned as part of the comprehensive plan?
I think part of it is we have to continue to dig into those specific pieces of data. Where are we seeing, what do we know? And when we look at the data, we're seeing growth, but in what ways might we overlay that with at particular grade band? So the first recommendation is to look at third grade reading and seventh grade math. So if we start there, because I think one of the things that we've done, along with lots of our colleagues across the nation for sure, is we say student achievement so broadly, and then it's hard to move the needle. So my hope and my discussions with Dr. Yannicone and my recommendation is that we really isolate where are we trying to grow so that we're able to track something with us that appears small, but at the same time is measurable over time. And once we're making growth in one area, then it's easier to then move it to the next area instead of we're just going to see growth and we're just going to see achievement. Not that that's a bad intent. I just think we've come to understand that that's a really hard lever to move. So if we go into this and we say, okay, well, in third grade in reading, what we're noticing is blank. Let's back that up of what happens and when does that get introduced? Then we can start to look at, so for our students with disabilities, when do we start to notice that we're, for example, or our students with economic disadvantage are. So once we're more focused, finding a pattern is a little bit, I think, more tangible and therefore more readily remediable.
Yeah, I think it's important to have the data and then the metrics of where you want to improve. So yeah, that sounds great.
And be more like targeted, because then I think it's something that's we can see growth in and then celebrate that growth. Like, oh, we did see this move. Now, what do we want to take on? Like, what's the next piece? So one step at a time, and those little steps will add up to big steps, but we have to sort of be patient about it. And I think that's where we're reticent to be patient because we want it. I have a sense of urgency. Let's do it now. Kids are waiting. Let's do it right. All of it right now. But that's not practical in terms of really making meaningful and sustained growth. Excellent.
Other questions? All right, thank you very much. It was great to see the incorporation of the survey families and community as well. That is also a communication of our intent to the community and really meaningful. So thank you for that.
I appreciate it. Thank you all for having me.
All right, any comments or questions from the board on any of the topics from Dr. Yannicone's update? I'll just take one more opportunity to congratulate the middle school peer counseling program. Those student leaders were so impressive. A good reminder of why we're all sitting around these tables and trying to figure out how we can do well for them because they're doing so well for our community. So excellent work by the whole middle school team. Thank you. Okay, we have lots of reports and information this evening. We'll start with our homeschool partnerships. Do we have a representative from Enfield Erdenheim? Looking for Ms. Dennis or Ms. Willis?
Hi. Nicole Willis, co-president of the EEHSP, the Enfield Erdenheim Homeschool Partnership. I'll try and keep it brief, but we had a really busy February. We hosted the Enfield Book Fair in the first week of February. Students visited the fair with their classes and prepared wish lists with the help of our parent volunteers. We held a family night at the start of the week so that students and their families could come and shop the fair together. Our family night included our first ever hot chocolate station, which went over really well. You know how cold it's been. And we also had a creative bookmark craft hosted by our Sustainability and Garden Committee. This year's book fair sales were over $20,000, which was an increase over last year's sales. So everything went very well. During Book Fair Week, we also held our EEHSP general meeting, during which we voted in a new vice president of fundraising. Her name is Samantha Honeywell. She's a kindergarten parent and she's looking to get more involved. She's been off to a great start and has been working with some of our committees to secure sponsors for our spring events. With the end of Book Fair Week came our first family fun night of the school year. It was a circus-themed event for our second grade class. Second grade students and their families enjoyed a night of juggling, aerial, and vaudeville acts. Our next family fun night will be held on Friday, February 27th. Our fourth graders and their families will enjoy a space-themed evening in which they hear from a NASA scientist, watch a laser show, and we will all explore the space projects that they've been working on this month. We've also started to do our teacher lounge takeovers. A little thank you was held by our first grade level leads, and we have an upcoming Love Philly lounge for Erdenheim, handled by our fifth grade committee chairs. EHSP also helped the staff at Enfield celebrate their 100th day of school today with a Lunar New Year themed lounge. We know that Enfield particularly loves their 100th day of school, so we wanted to do something a little special for them after the long weekend. We're excited to cheer on our Spartans team when they face off against the Wizards on Saturday. Our Spartans team consists of players from both Erdenheim and Enfield, including Mr. Spiker and Mr. Fleming, as well as Matt Quinn from District Facilities. The game sold out in about an hour, which was a record for this event. Coming up in March, we will have our talent show on Saturday, March 7th. We'll be meeting this week to review our submissions and organize the show. And we are also excited to share that as part of the McFarland Corrigan Speaker Series, EEHSP and the School District of Springfield Township will be welcoming New York Times bestselling author Tracy Baptiste as our 2026 visiting author. Ms. Baptiste will visit Erdenheim on Tuesday, March 17th and Enfield on Wednesday, March 18th, where she will speak in depth about her work and career as an author. EEHSP and the School District of Springfield Township have established the McFarland Corrigan Speaker Series to remember the contributions of Debbie McFarland Corrigan, who served as an educator in the district. The support for the series comes from the Debbie McFarland Corrigan Memorial Fund at the Philadelphia Foundation. The EEHSP and the district staff use these funds to bring reputable speakers in areas of fine arts, music, and literature to the students of the Enfield and Erdenheim elementary schools. Thank you. Any questions?
Incredible. Great update. Any questions from the board?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, appreciate everything you do. All right. Do we have any representatives from our secondary? Yeah, please.
Hello, good evening. Marjorie Ballin, Secondary HSP Co-President. I have a very comprehensive report tonight. Just kidding. I feel like that was the word of the night. All right. I'm going to try to find it. Hang on one second. Sorry. Okay. So last week at our middle school, they proudly hosted a seventh grade playwright mini festival. The school organized that with Mrs. Lane and the ELA teachers after working on a curricular playwright unit. Parents were invited to attend and enjoyed selected student written plays brought to life by our talented seventh graders. The secondary HSP would love to help foster more school and parent collaborations. And the Sign Up Genius, I think, had like 132 parents signed up. So it was very well attended. Career Day is coming up this spring. We are looking for community members to be speakers at the middle school Career Day. If you or someone you know might be interested in speaking to the eighth graders, please reach out to Dr. Mangano. The high school is also sponsoring a Career Day that is on April 24th, sponsored by the MPA. The eighth grade committee is currently planning several exciting end-of-year events to commemorate and celebrate the eighth graders' middle school years. These special events will include the highly anticipated field trip to Washington, D.C., a picnic and yearbook signing celebration, and the eighth grade dance. We look forward to providing memorable experiences as our students prepare for their next chapter. In addition, a committee is working on the details for our annual Teacher Appreciation Luncheon in May. The secondary HSP and the EEHSP will once again collaborate to provide lunch for all school buildings, including the administration building and transportation department. Our faculty and staff work tirelessly to support our students each day, and this luncheon is a small but meaningful token of our gratitude. As always, the secondary HSP continues to seek opportunities to strengthen the school-home partnership with our middle school and high school. All right. Any questions? Okay.
Questions at all?
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
Okay, our next update will come from our student representative to the board. Oh, Dr. Biel Tawfiq.
You missed me?
We did. We had the update on multicultural parents last time that we weren't able to get to. So that's great that you're here.
So happy to be back. You know, it's a new year. Ah, thank goodness, right? So the Multicultural Parent Association is excited to be back. And as we know, being a parent of everything, we are really proud of the secondary HSP, EHSS, the EHSP and more. So MPA will be hosting our second annual Black History Bee next Tuesday, February 24th at 6 p.m. in the high school forum room. We appreciate the partnership of Miss Wright and the Ernheim administrators in helping us with this event. We also want to thank the parent volunteers who helped and all of you who attended and assisted us with this year's VOE decorating for their annual Black History brunch, which was the theme of the Renaissance. And the event was widely attended, and we were all very proud of all of the students from VOE, the jazz band, and the Young Kings and Glam from the elementary school, Erdheim, who participated in making the event a success. And lastly, we are looking forward to our next MPA meeting on Wednesday, March 25th at 6:30 p.m., also going to be held in the high school forum room. And we will be joined by Rabbi David Levin, president of the Board of Rabbis of Greater Philadelphia. He will share a presentation titled Common Bonds, Unified Front, Jewish and African American Solidarity Against a Hatred. So save the date, and we hope that you guys will join us. Yay.
Thank you for the update. Appreciate it. All right, we will now get an update from our student representative to the board, Mr. Martinez Cortez.
Good evening, everyone. First, I'll start with Enfield. In February, they celebrated Black History Month with the theme of a century of Black history commemorations. Students and staff learned about prominent figures each week with key facts shared on TVs and morning announcements. The Reading Buddies program continues to connect kindergarten through sixth grade students with high school mentors, with VOE visiting first graders last month and second graders this month. They marked their 100th day of school with fun activities. Kindergarten students built the number 100 and first graders did a hallway number scavenger hunt. They also hosted a successful book fair where EEHSP volunteers helped students select new books. On February 6th, EEHSP sponsored a second grade family night featuring the entertaining Give and Take Jugglers. Then in Orderheim, this month, they learned about many contributions of African American figures during Black History Month. Next Tuesday, February 24th, students are invited to demonstrate their Black history knowledge by participating in the Black History Bee, which will be held at their high school in the Spartan Forum. Some looking at events, they'll be hosting a fourth grade family night on February 27th. Their annual Enfield and Orheim talent show will be held on Saturday, March 7th. Students in both 4th and 5th are gearing up for the annual Reading Olympics competition next month on March 10th. No highlights for middle school. Then in high school, VOE has their Black History Month and sports are in playoffs. And that's my report. Thank you.
Always a comprehensive report. Appreciate that. Any comments or questions from the board? All right, thank you very much. We'll now move to Policy Committee update and Mr. Jordan.
Good evening. So this policy committee meeting minutes were from December 10th, 2025. The board members that were in attendance were Dr. Aberly, Mr. Brett, Ms. McGranigan, and myself, student reps, Mr. Gebb and Ms. McGuigan, administration, Dr. Yannicone and Dr. Johnson. The items that were addressed were the items that were the agenda items were as follows. Policy 105.2, exemption from instruction. This allowed families to request opt-out from instruction based on religious beliefs. There was a review of to update it to address recent court actions regarding parental rights and allow students age 18 and older to request exemptions. Curriculum review that conflict with their religious grounds. The committee expressed support for focusing exemptions on religious grounds. If a student and parent disagreed with the request and a student is at least 18 years old, the student's perspective will take precedence. Also, relevant updates to school policy were provided in August of the new school year. Also discussed exemption from the dissection activities in the zoology class offered as an elective in the school district. The student will have to provide notification to the teacher at least 3 weeks prior to the beginning of the section activity in the class. The school district will incorporate the IEP process to assist the student and family to determine the most appropriate curriculum for students. Then there was policy 121, field trips and extracurricular trips. The school district's guidelines for field trips and extracurricular trips. There revised and added definitions, guidelines, and the school district's financial responsibility, in which is district sponsored versus non-district sponsored activities for field trips, extracurricular trips, school sponsored extended travel, and non-district sponsored extended travel. Also, we discussed board notification, approval, advertising, linking rules for third-party trips, financial responsibility, fundraising opportunities, graduate participation, timing, and post-trip review practices. Also, we talked about policy 221, student dress and grooming. We reviewed and amended policy to align with the Pennsylvania Crown Act that was passed this semester and must be implemented by the school district by January 24th, 2026. This act clarifies that race includes hair texture, protective hairstyles, and religious creed, including associated head coverings and hairstyles. We also discussed policy 325, staff dress and grooming. This also was reviewed and amended policy to align with the Pennsylvania Crown Act that was passed this semester and must be implemented by the school district by January 24th, 2026. This act clarifies that hairstyles and head coverings associated with race and religion do not interfere with the requirements under health and safety codes for covering one's hair when performing job duties or engaging in school activities. The last policy was reviewed was a policy 816, social media. We reviewed and updated policy noting the school district will maintain non-public forums, which means no comments on social media, provided guidance for board members posting on social media, acting as a member of the board and not as a private citizen, and requiring third-party social media accounts that are linked to the school district's website. That they maintain a non-public forum and encourage disclaimer language for third-party websites not linked to the school district's websites. There were no public comments received during this meeting, and the following policy meeting was held virtually on February 5th, 2026 at 5 p.m. All right. That concludes my report.
So
We're gonna move right into
we're tag teaming. So
Fantastic.
yeah.
Move right into Abby. Thank you.
I'm covering the policy committee meeting minutes from Thursday, February 5th on 2026 at 5 p.m. So this policy committee meeting, we reviewed one sole agenda item, which was the proposed revisions to policy 122 extracurricular activities, and you'll see this on the agenda this evening. Present in that policy meeting was myself, Dr. Aberley, Mr. Brett, Mr. Jordan, Mrs. McGranahan, student representative Alec Gleb, Isabella McGuigan, and administration representatives Dr. Mary Jo Yanacone and Dr. Damien Johnson. As I said, sole agenda item policy 122. So Dr. Johnson presented the background and proposed revisions to policy 122, explaining the need to clarify definitions, funding responsibilities, and approval processes for extracurricular activities. Key discussion points: the purpose of extracurricular activities, where Dr. Johnson explained that these activities are intended to extend learning beyond classroom and support student engagement, leadership development, and responsibility. Activity types were clarified. So there's really two different types of activity distinctions. Number one, school-sponsored activities, which were created and operated by the district, supervised by faculty advisors, and funded through the district budget. Secondly, there are student-sponsored activities, which are initiated and led by students, supervised by an advisor, and funded through student fundraising and/or dues. With respect to funding and financial oversight, Dr. Johnson and Dr. Yannicone discussed inconsistencies in past practice and noticed that the revised policy clarifies that student-sponsored activities are not funded through district budget. Administration indicated that revisions would allow for more consistent implementation moving forward, which you will see in the policy update this evening. Regarding access and participation, Dr. Johnson confirmed that student-sponsored activity are expected to be open to all interested students. Dr. Yannicone also noted that homeschool students residing in the district may participate in these extracurricular activities under existing board policy. As part of the approval process, Dr. Johnson explained that existing clubs may operate on a year-to-year basis, depending on student interests. Requests for new clubs requiring paid advisors are submitted during the annual budget planning cycle for administrative and board consideration. With respect to participation levels, Dr. Yannicone and committee members discussed participation thresholds, noting that no fixed enrolment minimums exist and that decisions are made on a case-by-case basis by building administrators depending on the activity. Policy 122 language was reviewed by Dr. Yannicone, highlighting number 1, new definitions and clarifications, number 2, adult supervision and eligibility requirements, and number 3, legal guidance regarding guest speakers and district endorsement. Committee members raised questions regarding funding language, facilities and equipment use, volunteer advisors and guest participation. Administration agreed to review the specific language concerns, including alignment with related board policy and solicitor guidance. Administration will follow up on noted language and legal questions. The revised policy 122 is presented as a one read item at today's board meeting. If approved, the policy will take effect immediately. There was no public comment as part of the meeting, and the next meeting date for policy committee is Monday, April 27th at 5 p.m, which is a virtual meeting. That concludes the report.
Thank you for the double report this evening. Any comments or questions from the board?
I think I might have a question. So with the changes, and I apologize if I missed this, are any of the student-led clubs going to be missing something that they're currently enjoying? Like, for instance, are there any clubs where they're currently getting transportation from the district where they won't be getting transportation going forward?
That's correct.
Okay.
So in clarifying the policies in the discussion, we explained there are concerns for us if we do not follow these guidelines. And so all of our clubs and activities have been informed, will be informed. Thank you after tonight. Thank you, Dr. Johnston. It's been discussed with all the administrators in order to come into alignment. It was not consistent in the way in which we implemented this policy.
Okay. So there might be some strife, but there could have been before because it wasn't consistent.
Yes, I would say that there could be strife in either direction.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But consistency is
legally defensible.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You got it.
Mr. Needleman, were you trying to ask a question there online?
No, thanks. Not that I. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we got you. All
Okay.
right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. Thank you very much for the updates on policy. Next, we have Finance Committee, and Mr. DeFranco will give us that update.
That's me. I should have left my mic on. Thank you. The Finance Committee met via Zoom on Wednesday, January 28th, 2026 at 4 p.m. So new time. Might be some inconsistencies going forward. We will see. Let's see, I'll provide a brief summary. Committee members in attendance. We had Mr. Bedard, myself, Mr. Jordan, Ms. McGranahan. From the administration, Dr. Yannicone, Ms. Green, Mr. Coleman, Mrs. Holman. And from student reps, we had Alessandra Santorelli and Ella DiPasquale. Additional panelists included Ms. Doyle and Ms. Kiesling of PFM Financial Advisors, and there were no public attendees. We began with the 2026 financial plan presented by Jamie Doyle of PFM Financial Advisors. Ms. Doyle reviewed short-term investment performance and current historical interest rates. She then discussed a refinancing opportunity for a portion of the general obligation bonds from 2018. The potential refinancing of the series could generate net savings exceeding $200,000, which meets the board's established threshold for refinancing consideration. In addition, the plan includes the next issuance of $10 million in bonds for the Springfield Township Middle School project. Ms. Doyle outlined the projected timeline, including bond parameter resolutions. She explained the bid process and noted that if targeted savings or interest rate thresholds are not achieved, the transaction would not proceed. She also reviewed the rationale for setting bond parameters slightly higher than the anticipated refinancing and issuance amounts to preserve flexibility for proper amortization. Mr. Jordan asked about the difference between bank qualified and non-bank qualified bonds, and Ms. Doyle provided clarification on how these designations affect investor interest and pricing. We then moved to the 2025-2026 financial status update presented by Ms. Green. Ms. Green provided an update on the middle school project, including a review of the budget versus year-to-date expenditures, budgeted versus year-to-date expenditures, allowance usage, and anticipated change orders. Mr. Jordan inquired about potential plumbing-related change orders, and Ms. Green reported that to date, there is no anticipation of major change orders related to plumbing work. Ms. Green also reviewed the district's capital and operational priorities for 2025-2026 and 2026-2027. Mr. Jordan inquired about mower equipment costs. I requested clarification regarding school bus cost projections for both 25-26 and 26-27. Mr. Bedard asked for additional detail on project list and how priorities were determined. In response, Ms. Green revisited the capital assessment and 5-year plan developed by CHA, which includes project prioritization. Dr. Yannicone provided further clarification on how projects are reviewed and prioritized through the property committee before moving forward. Ms. Green also provided an updated overview of revenues and expenditures to date. We then discussed the request for proposals for capital planning and retainer services. Dr. Yannicone included this in her report this evening. Due to limited submissions at the time of our finance committee meeting, the administration recommended extending the deadline to solicit additional proposals. The committee approved the extension and planned for moving forward. Mr. Bedard inquired about factors contributing to the limited response, which were discussed. And subsequently to the January 28th committee meeting, the district ended up with a total of 3 bids and a recommendation to move forward with the bid from CMTA ICS, and it is in tonight's agenda. Under additional comments, Mr. Bedard requested that at our next meeting, we receive an update regarding actual bond savings and how those savings will be allocated. There was no public comment, and our next finance committee meeting is scheduled for Thursday, February 26th at 4:00 in the afternoon, and it'll be held virtually. That concludes my report.
Seemed like I asked a lot of questions in that meeting. I apologize.
I don't usually put but I don't.
There any questions on the questions that I asked in that meeting?
Questions are good.
Yeah, no.
And clarifications are better.
Good. It was good dialogue. Any comments or questions on finance committee? All right, next up, we will get an update on academic affairs from Katie Davenport.
Academic affairs. Can you hear me from here? Yeah. Cool. We met on Monday, February 9th at 4 p.m. on Zoom. We is Dr. Aberly, Mrs. Bell, myself, Mr. Brett, and Dr. Johnson from the committee. Dr. Yannicone was not able to join us. I don't know if that needs to be corrected on the minutes or if I'm overthinking. Student representatives, William May and Jordana Albanese. Additional panelists, Dr. Dennis, Dr. Mangano, Dr. Rittenhouse, Ms. Brady, and Dr. Scrapian. Okay, our first presentation from Dr. Mangano and Ms. Brady was about the middle school schedule, and it is comprehensive, the changes that they are bringing to our middle school students. So some big changes in store in order to have equal periods for ELA math, science, and social studies. We're going to have some brand new electives available to our middle school students, including the Success Lab, which is going to focus on executive functioning, organization, time management, and study skills. Life Online, which will focus on digital citizenship, online safety, and responsible technology use. and Change Makers, Community Careers and Service, which is going to emphasize service learning, civic responsibility, and career awareness. This is just the first year of new electives that are being offered, with more exciting changes in the works. This also comes with some other changes to the schedule, including our current humanities civics material being incorporated into the longer social studies block, transition of world language level 1 to high school beginning next year, 26-27, 6th grade getting an extra block of phys ed and changing that from the health. We discussed many of the implications of that, all these changes, ensuring that this was equitable, the staffing would be appropriate, and we were happy to move that forward. So kudos to the middle school team. It seems like a really exciting, innovative plan for our middle school students. High school, we looked at a couple of new courses in the program of studies, piano and keyboarding 2. Which is going to continue students who are learning how to play keyboard instruments, focusing on their technique, music literacy, and performance. Instruments are provided, so this is not reliant on students having access to instruments at home. And we have our contemporary affairs class, replacing global citizenship. This is going to be a required senior half-credit course examining global issues with an emphasis on civic reasoning and critical thinking. And the committee supported moving both of these proposed courses forward. Finally, if you enjoyed Dr. Johnson's presentation tonight, you would have loved academic affairs, because we got an in-depth look at gifted support plan, the teacher induction plan, and the professional development plan. We got to ask a lot of questions about those. And you might want to check the video for all those details. But we were happy to give our thumbs up to that as well. We had no public comment, and we set our next meeting for Monday, March 9th at 4 p.m. virtually. That is the end of the report.
Great report. Any comments or questions?
I just have a comment just to follow on from what Katie said. I would definitely encourage members to go and watch the video. There's all of the links in the agenda to the course descriptions, especially the new courses, and they've done a really thorough job of being very comprehensive in what they've put together and just really thoughtful for really thinking about where our middle school students can grow. So I think it's a really, really nice set of material. So I would definitely encourage people to go look at that.
I would say it's well known that Finance Committee is my favorite. However, I think it's arguable that academic affairs is the most impactful, and the agenda that you just ran through and the topics that are being discussed are so critically important. So thank you for the work, and thank you to the administration for really making these changes come to life. And since Mr. Needleman is online, I will say what he likes to say, which is if you are in the community and you're watching this video, we welcome you to join at the committee meeting, where there's a lot of dialogue and discussion, an opportunity to ask questions and really participate in understanding what the board and the administration is working on at a detailed level. So everyone's always welcomed.
Well said. Thank you, Mr. Bedard.
I thought you might need that. Okay, we're going to move to public comments on agenda items. And Mr. Needleman, we're going to let you off the hook this time. And I see from paperwork here that Mr. DeFranco is going to be.
I can speak for who's in the audience, but I'm not logged into Zoom, so we'll need somebody to speak for who has comments in there. Does Mr. Needleman usually read the public content warning on here and everything?
Yeah, he usually gives just a little update, reminder on the rules of engagement.
I don't want to steal your thunder there, because I was just going to say there's no one present for.
All right, so there's some communication challenges here online.
Okay, I see that.
If you are online and want to make a public comment, feel free to raise a digital hand. And in the meantime, just a reminder to the public here in person as well as online that it's a 3-minute time limit. Just let us know where you live in the district if you have a comment. And a reminder that this is public comment, not Q&A or debate, but we encourage and love comments, and the administration typically will ingest those comments, and if there are questions embedded, get back to those who come before the board by the end of the week. So we'd love to hear from you. Seeing no one in present here, and we're going to check online. We have no digital hands raised online, so we can get right into the meat of the meeting. All right, thanks everybody. First, approval of minutes from January 20th, 2026. The recommended action this evening: the Board of School Directors approves the board minutes from the January 10th, 2026 regular board meeting. Is there a motion? Thank you. In a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Minutes are good. We'll now look at the treasurer's report. Recommended action this evening: the Board of School Directors approves the January 2026 treasurer's report per the attachment. Is there a motion? Thank you. In a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Report is good. On to human resources. First, on personnel. Recommended action: the Board of School Directors approves the personnel as presented in the attachment, which is 2026-02-17 final. Is there a motion? Thank you. In a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? All right, personnel file will pass. Under academic affairs, we have conferences, and that is just an informational update, so everyone sees the conferences that our administrators and teachers will be attending. And secondly, we have field trips, and we do have a couple here to approve. The first, an overnight field trip for the DECA competition. Recommended action this evening: the Board of School Directors approves the high school DECA overnight trip to Atlanta, Georgia, April 25th through 29th, 2026, for the National DECA competition. This is a school-sponsored extended travel trip, which is coordinated by district personnel. The cost for the trip for participating students is $1,000, paid by participating students and families, and costs are reduced through participant fundraising. If additional support is needed for financial aid, that is coordinated through the high school administration. Is there a motion? Thank you. Any comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? All right, DECA trip is good. Next, the overnight field trip for the Thespian Festival. Recommended action this evening: the Board of School Directors approves the high school thespian trip to Bloomington, Indiana, June 21st through 27th, 2026, for the International Thespian Festival. This is a school-sponsored extended travel trip, which is coordinated by district personnel. The cost of the trip for participating students is $1,550, paid by participating students and families, and costs are reduced through participant fundraising. If additional support is needed for financial aid, that is coordinated through the high school administration. Is there a motion? Thank you. In a second. Good. Any comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, that will pass. Moving on to the public posting of the required Pennsylvania Department of Education plans. This was under our academic affairs. Recommended action this evening: the Board of School Directors, upon the recommendation of the Academic Affairs Committee, approves the 28-day public inspection and comment period for the following draft plans for 2026 through 2029. The Gifted Support Plan, the Induction Plan, and Professional. which I'm assuming is missing. That was just called the professional plan. Is that correct? Okay, wonderful. These 3 plans will be posted for public inspection and comment. Is there a motion? Thank you. In a second. We got our second. Any comments or questions? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Any abstentions? All right. And now I see why those plans threw me off, because they weren't comprehensive. Now we're moving to the public posting of the comprehensive plan. Recommended action. The Board of School Directors authorizes the 28-day public inspection and comment period for the draft Springfield Township School District Comprehensive Plan 2026-2029 as presented and attached for the board. Approval of this motion authorizes the administration to post the draft comprehensive plan for public review and comment, and enables the board to consider final approval and submission to the Pennsylvania Department of Education following the completion of the required posting period. Is there a motion? Thank you. In a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Mr. Needleman. Any opposed say nay. Any abstentions? All right, we're good on comprehensive plan posting. Next, under finance. First up, the 2026-2027 MCIU membership services budget. The recommended action: the Board of School Directors approves the 2026-2027 membership services budget for the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit number 23, as approved by their Board of Directors, in the amount of $2,042,210, of which the School District of Springfield Township's contribution is $46,162. And the budget is attached for review. Is there a motion? Thank you. In a second. We have a second. Any comments or questions? Great. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Any abstentions? All right, we're good. On next is the bond parameters resolution. And we have just 2 of these. First, the Board of School Directors approves a resolution authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds in the amount of up to $43,400,000 for purposes of refunding all or a portion of the outstanding 2018 bonds and paying the costs and expenses related to the issuance of these bonds. Is there a motion? Thank you. In a second. Any comments or questions on the resolution? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Okay. Thank you for clarifying. And any abstentions? All right, that will pass. The second bond parameter resolution, Series A of 2026. The Board of School Directors approves a resolution authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds in the amount of up to $11,500,000 for purposes of repairs, renovations, additions, and improvements to Springfield Township Middle School, various other capital improvements to school facilities and school buildings owned and operated by the school district, and paying the costs and expenses related to the issuance of the bonds. Is there a motion? Thank you. In a second. All right. Having been moved, are there any comments or questions? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Any abstentions? That will pass. Moving on to policy updates. We have a revision. Recommended action. The Board of School Directors approves the revision to Board Policy 122, extracurricular activities, as provided in the attached and reviewed in the policy committee meeting. Is there a motion? Thank you. In a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. And any abstentions? All right, that's good to go. Under property, we have capital improvement planning. These are retainer services. Recommended action here is the Board of School Directors approves the fee proposal from CMTS ICS for construction management, capital improvement planning, and monthly retainer services with the details in the attached. Is there a motion? Thank you. And a second. All those in favor? Oh, any comments or questions? Before we vote?
I just would like to make a correction. So I apologize. There's a typo in the recommended action. The correct name is CMTA-ICS, just for the purposes of clarification.
Thank you.
Yep.
And I think I did get that right, and you may have gotten it right at the beginning too.
Good. And it is labeled correctly in the attachment as well. So I think we're covered. So thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
So, other comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Okay. Next item, retroactive approval. The recommended action this evening, the Board of School Directors retroactively approves the emergency purchase of a 2026 Chevrolet Silverado 3500 HD for $65,420.26 under the CoStar's contract number 025E22454. Is there a motion? And a second. Thank you. Any comments or questions? A very nice truck. Very nice truck. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Any abstentions? All right, that will pass. Now we're going to move to public comment on non-agenda items. And now I'm not able to see hands on the electronic either. So Mr. Needleman, I will lean on you for that.
Okay. Thank you.
If you are online and you want to make a comment, please raise a digital hand. We don't have any hands raised in the room. So Mr. Needleman, let us know if anyone appears to want to provide a comment.
Yeah, I don't see any hands raised digitally. Let me double check. I don't see any hands raised digitally. While giving that a minute, let me just reiterate what Mr. Bedard said before, which is that during our comment period, we do have a 3-minute time limit, and we just ask that you identify where you live in the district before you make your comment. That being said, I don't see any hands raised in the digital universe, or whatever the right phrase is.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Needleman. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We just have announcements to close things out tonight. We have some future board meeting dates. Our next interim board meeting, which is still tentative, is scheduled for Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026. And we have our next regular board meeting on Tuesday, March 17th, 2026. These meetings will continue to be hybrid. So if you are so inclined, please join us here in person at the high school library. Otherwise, meeting details on how to log in can be found on the district website. We have some committee meeting dates. Busy time of year. Finance Committee will be meeting again on Thursday, February 26th, 2026. And this is at 4 p.m. virtual only. Academic Affairs will be meeting Monday, March 9th, 2026, also 4 p.m., and that is a virtual meeting. And Property Committee will be reconnecting. They will be meeting. They'll be convening. They'll be coming together. They'll be discussing. The Property Committee meeting will take place Wednesday, March 25th, 2026, also 4 p.m., also virtual. Reminder, all of the committee meeting details can be found on the district website. With that, I'll open it up to any comments or questions from the board. covered a lot tonight. I will just reiterate, it is a joyous time for many of our communities. So happy February, and continue to enjoy the celebrations that each of you enjoy. I'll turn it to you, Dr. Yannicone, for closing comments.
Yeah, I just have one announcement. About 3 minutes ago, our girls basketball team below us won their opening game.
All right.
Getting texts from our principal, 40-37. So they will play in the district finals on Saturday. Good luck to the girls.
Fantastic. All right. Have a good evening, everyone.